Welcome back to the sack. While we were away, the Red Sox closed the door on the Yankees. 11-6 was the final. They got a double play to end it. I think the judge hit it Jeter Downs to start off the game-winning rally there, or I should say throw around.
Judge to Jeter.
Judge to Jeter. So the Bo Sox Yankee-ish. Come back from 6-2 down to win 11-6. Get a split, much needed given Devers wasn't around for 3 games, and neither was J.D. Martinez, even though he was physically. And
that was 9 unanswered runs.
It was 9 unanswered runs. Wow. Very impressive against the Yankees. That's I can't think of a team that did that to them this year. So at all.
So just an interesting piece of that game. Aroldis Chapman was brought in middle relief and really struggled. Kind of interesting.
It is interesting. Yeah. So the Bombers are going to walk out of Fenway wondering. Is there 2 themes they got to worry about now in the American League? Because Houston was the easy answer, but now you got to look at this Red Sox team gaining a split and doing it the way they did it, shorthanded, missing their top 2 starters, missing their best hitter, still not having a damn closer to speak about. For the Sox to salvage a split when it was looking anything but, the Yankees averaged, I think, 6 runs a game in this series. I think they did. So their pitching did not hold up. Well, as usual, the relief pitching held up. The starting front line didn't really. But the middle relief did its job, keeping them close enough so where the bats. We said this on Thursday night before the series started. For them to be able to have a shot to compete with these, they had to hit. They had to out-hit them. They couldn't out-pitch them, so they had to out-hit them. At least not the front line starting, and that's kind of what it bore out to be. I didn't know Devers was going to be hurt after game 1. We weren't going to see him again. I didn't know we weren't going to see J.D. Martinez until late this afternoon. So even though he was there all weekend.
Although the first game y'all won, you actually pitched pretty well in that game. Right?
6-5. I don't know.
Was it 6-5?
6-5.
But didn't they give up 2 in extras? I think the Sox gave up at
I
least 2
think it was 4 going into the.
Which against the Yankees, you're hoping the 4 runs.
All right, so you want to give them a pass on game.
Just that one win.
Well, so they were. I wouldn't call that. It wasn't great. It was decent. There was no great
against
pitching.
The Yankees, though. That was
it was decent.
Solid.
It was solid. So they get the split. Realistically, that's what I was hoping for. I did not see them taking 3 out of 4 from these guys. The frontline pitching isn't there.
I didn't see them splitting.
I said I was hoping for a split. I would have been not surprised if the Yankees took 3 out of 4.
Yeah.
And it was looking like that early on tonight. And then the bullpen and the bats woke up at the same time, thank God. So Boston hands a decisive win on the Yankees, drops it on their chin to get a little kiss back to the Bronx. And they gained ground in the wild card race. They are now alone in the wild card race. Tampa Bay is looming this week. That'll be a big series going down there. They've got to find a way to hit that. That's the one pitching staff they have pretty consistently struggled with over the last couple of
They're
years.
going to hit them.
They got to hit them.
They're going to hit them.
They got to hit them. So
they just saw.
This is the kind. I'll tell you what, this is the kind of win tonight where they were down 6-2 and to his point scored 9 unanswered runs on that team that's been hot, white hot. Okay,
they still are.
They're still on. And,
they are hot. They
are
right
still
now.
hot. And for them to be able to do that to them without Devers and without arguably their 2 best starters. So that's encouraging, and that might be the kind of win that can catapult them into some sort of a run here. Let's hope it does. In any event, when we left you, Tom dropped a Hiroshima-like mushroom cloud
Don't say that.
on this studio stage. What do you want to call it?
Stage.
Stage.
Definitely a stage.
Probably
closer to a stage than a
it's
studio.
It's not every day, ladies and gentlemen. It's not every day where a person named Michael Michael McCorkle Jones comes into your life. Every day.
And I would just like to say you're welcome.
Yeah, that's a Tommy.
I found that.
That's a Tommy point. If Tom Hines and Gubby, we should have Tommy points. You're gonna carry on a tradition.
Tom's tidbits.
But we can also have a Tommy point.
Tommy point?
A Tommy point. Tom Hines used to give out a Tommy point when a guy did something.
A Tommy point is actually a thing.
It's a thing. it's a thing by a legend. Now we're going to pass it from one legend to
Tommy
another.
points.
A Tommy point. So when something happens, one of us, you give me or give himself a Tommy point. So that's a good one. That's a Tommy point.
So an original thought.
Original thought or something.
point.
Tommy point. Something. Yeah. Or something we didn't think of. Right? Not the original thought, but something we weren't thinking about.
Yeah.
That's a Tommy point.
Okay. So
Tommy
basically,
yeah.
I was making a joke saying that the Patriots would not win a Super Bowl with a quarterback named Mac.
Not knowing.
Not knowing. And okay, so that led us to the point of, well, what is Mac short for? So then I looked up Mac.
This is like when they found the Ark and Raiders of the Lost Ark. That's what this is right now.
And again, I was making a joke about Mac Jones' name. You know, maybe that's not nice. And I also know
He'll get over it.
that his name has nothing to do with his performance. They could
None.
win.
He could have
They
won.
could win a Super Bowl.
He's
with
a very
Mac Jones.
he's been a pleasant. He's been better than I thought he would be.
Okay,
Yeah.
and still, it was funny, so we went with it. I looked up what's Mac Jones's real name. His real name is Michael McCorkle Jones. McCorkle, I don't think I've ever heard that name in my life.
Ever.
Okay.
Nowhere.
So we're not going to make fun of his name.
Michael. Michael McCorkle.
That's an interesting name. Okay, so
Call sign Mac.
Yeah. So anyway,
Which really explains Mac a lot more now.
yeah. So then we wanted that
because now I know that Mac is a combination of Mike and McCorkle.
yes. Or it's just short for McCorkle.
Maybe it is. Mac.
Anyway,
that could
anyway, somehow finding out Mac Jones's real name was Michael McCorkle led us to the fact that we want to discuss
We have a think piece.
the topic of gamesmanship.
Gamesmanship. Is
Okay.
next, yes.
And what we're going to do is we're going to talk about several examples, hopefully, of gamesmanship across, I'll say it, the four major sports.
Wow, this is progress.
Okay.
This is a progress.
Let me stop hating
moment.
on hockey.
This is
Okay.
a progress moment. You did say it was a beautiful game.
It is a beautiful
You did say that.
It is.
And yeah, you did.
Can't
You
deny
did.
that.
You did say that. So I'm not gonna. Don't beat yourself up.
Okay. Thank you.
You were
So,
terribly wrong, but don't.
We're
beat
going to
yourself
come up with some examples of gamesmanship, and we're going to ask each other, all right, so like, if you were an athlete, or when you were an athlete, or when you were playing, you know, could be a pickup game to anything. Could you go to bed at night feeling like you gave it your all? You know, if you used a piece of, you know, this gamesmanship to win. All right.
Just to be clear, just so you guys know what the parameters are for this. Okay. We looked this up because I never knew the textbook definition of gamesmanship.
Yes.
I know verbatim what it
I
means.
asked for the definition.
We went for the definition because we like to be factual here, folks. We are a fact-based show.
So go ahead, drop
Okay.
it on.
So-
Merriam-Webster's on them.
So gamesmanship, the noun, is the art of winning games by using various ploys and tactics to gain a psychological advantage. Furthermore, when you go down, it breaks down a couple of ways how this works. So deliberately falling and being tackled in a penalty area to try and win a penalty in football. Distracting an opponent, for example, sledging in cricket. I had never played cricket.
Never played.
Never played that. It's interesting they grabbed cricket.
So is sledging like
like where a bowler and fielders verbally abuse, verbal assaults here, ladies and gentlemen. Verbal.
so they
verbal or
consider consider trash talk.
Yeah, they
to be
try or
games.
intimidating.
guess
Well,
it's
I've
games.
always thought of that. Bird was famous, and so was Jordan. Games. That was the game that they were trash talking.
Okay, well, if that's gamesmanship,
So,
then we're
yeah.
going to discuss like what level of gamesmanship you're okay with.
Yes,
Because I'm totally okay with trash.
this one will resonate. Fourth major sport. Time wasting to prevent the opposition from trying to score in hockey. That means passing the puck probably between the lines, not extending the possession or giving it up, just sitting there and playing keep away to really eat the seconds off the clock to keep your opponent getting an opportunity to score.
I feel like you
So-
can do that in football. Like if you're
You
ahead,
can do it in football.
You can get like an offensive
if
penalty.
if you're
Try to run
ahead,
10
it's
seconds
a
off.
running game.
yeah.
You want to keep.
But that's
it.
more strategy.
I think it's more
than
strategy and gamesmanship. I agree with you there. But are there? Yeah, there's
Yeah,
levels.
there's
to it.
elements.
There's
Yeah.
elements. There's
Yeah,
levels to
yeah.
it. So we're going to discuss those because this has never been talked about. People say gamesmanship, but no one really talks about why it's significant or that they don't go into the depths of it and in terms of where where is the main factor. We talk about psychological, and that's the obvious answer. But there's levels to this.
Yeah, what's the line?
Where is the line, and where do you? And look, we brought up off here also one of the lines that I do like about one of the things that Belichick says that I agree with. where he told his team a long time ago, it's on the it's on a slogan on the wall when you walk in the locker room. It says, "Do business as business is done," which speaks to a whole look. If they're going to do it, we're going to do it. Okay, I'm not going to go and cry.
I guess that
about
could be
it.
interpreted multiple ways, but
Well,
I see that interpretation like, hey,
well, the reason
if everybody's doing business this way,
I say that,
I'm not going to fall behind because I'm going to do it the
reason I say that is because when the NFL started putting out these memos, they don't tell all the sides of the story. Because why would they? That's agenda news for you. See, the NFL does it too. So the NFL had started sending out these warnings.
The NFL is not NFL is not the media. Like they're their own organization.
But the media is one who takes the story and makes it public so everybody knows about it. So, the
NFL can hold information from the media.
Yeah, until they want to release it to print the narrative or push their narrative. So my point is that the NFL had started sending memos out to the league back in 06, 07 about videotaping, and it wasn't that you couldn't videotape, but it was about where you could videotape. So the whole
You're going back to this right away.
It's the biggest one.
Okay.
It's the biggest one. It's the biggest one in the history of the sport. So why not start with the big one, the one that everybody knows?
I thought we were going to talk about just examples.
Well, we're going to do games. This was gamesmanship, but because Belichick wrote the memo went out to everybody. Not everybody stopped doing it, and Belichick was the one guy who sent a letter back explaining why he wasn't going to stop doing it. And it had nothing to do with his opponents doing it. He said he brought up a factual point. He said, "Look, where you're saying to put this camera, I'm looking at 36 huge individuals. I can't see the entire play. That angle does me from a coaching. I can't teach my team anything, so I'm keeping it here." He told them he was going to do it before Eric Manwini went and busted him. He told them he was going to continue to do it.
That was weak by Mangini.
It was so weak by Mangini. It was terrible.
Because he was in on it.
He was totally on it when he was a Patriot when they were doing it. But and other teams were doing it too. The Giants brought up in 2013 when the Steelers did it to them. And it got brushed over because the Steelers. The Steelers having.
I didn't know the Giants talked about
that. The Giants brought a complaint before the league because when they were playing Pittsburgh, they accused the Steelers of doing it to them. This is in 2013. You're a Giants fan. See, this is why I get mad. You're supposed to know that shit. That's your team. That is your team.
What year was this?
2013.
Okay. The Giants.
The Giants.
I guess it's still probably.
It doesn't matter. They lame basted a team, took away a draft pick, fined him $1 million because and basically told the idiots out there, the people who voted for Trump, the idiots out there, that the Pats only win because of this. That's how they played it. They didn't say that. That's the image they gave it. The Pats, they're cheating.
Okay,
and that's not what was happening.
But let me just admit something.
That's not what was happening.
Let me just admit something. There was a point in my life where I always made like cheater jokes about New England.
I'm sure you. Okay. Yeah, and it was because of this.
No.
Yes,
but,
it was.
Look, yes, you're right. No, but it was more because I was just bitter that they were so good. I never really thought that they won all those games
because of a video camera
because of
a certain angle.
Okay, but I'll just admit that I used to be like, yeah, cheaters, they gotta cheat. But I knew, look, whatever advantage that gave them, it wasn't the difference of why they were winning and losing. They were great.
And let me tell you, this is why I'll tell you what. So he's saying that without really knowing how factually right he is. Because here's the thing. I coached for 20
years. No, I'm not. We've talked about what Belichick did.
I'm talking about, hold on, as someone who's been a coach and has used video to educate his players, okay, here's the thing. You can have the perfect game plan based on the facts you see on the tape to break down and beat an opponent. You want to know the reality, folks? That game plan means nothing if you don't have the players to execute it. It means absolutely, positively nothing. I have had game plans to beat teams by 30, and that team beat me by 20. Because I didn't have the players to execute that game plan. The game plan was right, but you have to have the talent to implement it.
But beyond that, you also have to have the in-game awareness to adjust your game plan.
Well, you can't adjust if you don't have the talent.
No, but I'm saying, look, yes, players are true to that too.
Players are more important to winning than coaching.
Like players have to execute it, yes. And at the same time, you can game plan all you want. By the second quarter, shit has changed. And you're probably going to need to adjust your game plan for the second half.
Well, the opponent will adjust.
Right.
And then you have to adjust. But a game plan is never just devised of that one thing. Because the game plan, a coach knows that your opponent's going to adjust. And they have to have that already in the chamber ready. Sure. So you know that if you're doing things well, the opponent's going to have to adjust.
You've got the plan, and then when they adjust.
I'm talking about when the opponent didn't have to adjust because your players couldn't execute the game plan. Because you didn't have them.
That's
So
true,
it can
too.
work both ways. But the point is, any good coach has the rebuttal when the rebuttal comes. Okay, because if your game plan's working already, which like it's supposed to, they know the team's going to call timeout and do something else, and that's where you have to be ready.
Yeah, but
for
every now and then, you'll have a game plan, right? And then the team totally flips up how they play, and now you're like trying to find yourself in that first quarter.
They do something
That happens sometimes.
That's complete. It's rare, but usually I'll tell you why it's rare.
Belichick does it to other coaches.
Belichick's the one guy that can do it though, because that's the kind of players he drafts.
Okay, that's true too, and I'm not denying the
He
talent.
doesn't listen.
But you also have to
You've
talk
heard
about
you've
the coaching.
you've
part.
heard the phrase. Look at. We'll get into this in a minute. You've heard of the phrase "imposing your will." Okay, in sports, it's all about which team can impose their will. You know what that means? Both teams know what the other one's going to do. Who can do it better? And if you remember Nick Nolte in the movie Blue Chips, basketball movie, where he said, "I'll go over and tell Bobby Knight exactly what we're going to do," because it's not what you do; it's how you do it. Okay. Translation: if you've got the right players, they can know. And there are tons of teams, Super Bowl. You knew it was coming, and you still couldn't stop it.
Yeah.
Okay, because they were that good at what they did. Belichick has a different approach. He wants his team to be an amoeba. He wants to be able to win in whichever path the game takes, because there are other circumstances that can take the game down a path you didn't think of. That's where he's minded.
But he usually takes them down the path he wants them.
You
You know what
can
I'm
when you have
saying?
Tom Brady. Okay.
He also knows how to defend somebody's best player.
I've never questioned Bill Belichick as a defensive mind. My problem with him is that his as a GM more than X's and O's.
Sure.
Bill Belichick knows X's and O's. I'm not going to. Record doesn't indicate X's and O's. Record is your ability to get draft and build a team around talent. Because at the end of the day, the talent's going to win if you get the right talent. Okay. So anyway, the point is that Belichick wants a team, or tries to build a team that can win in whatever direction the game goes. Not like if it goes away, you have one way to adjust, and that's it. He doesn't build his teams that way, and that's part of the reason why they've been successful or been competitive for so long. That and TB12, okay, because TB12 basically took his offense and said, "You worry about this, I'll take care of this," because that's basically what happened, and that's what Tom Brady did down in Tampa when Tampa broke through and won the Super Bowl after they were 7-5 at the break in that 2-week window, that bye. Tom Brady and the offensive coordinator there, the other coordinator, Leftwich, basically Brady went to him first and said, "Look, we're going to go to him together. And we're going to run the offense from now on." And then all of a sudden they didn't lose again. They didn't lose again. They went 8 in a row, won the Super Bowl. That was what happened. They said verbatim, Brady and Leftwich went into that office, had a private meeting with Arians. After that, everything changed. You know what that meeting was? I'm Tom fucking Brady. Get the fuck out of my way. I got 6 Super Bowls, Bruce. You got.
We're getting far from games.
Anyway, well, that's a form of it. Okay. The point is, so anyway, we're back to gamesmanship.
I want to give you some scenarios.
Give us some scenarios. We're going to break down these scenarios. What's good? What's over the line?
Yeah.
Where is the line? Does this go over?
Yeah.
So go from anywhere, and I'll give you some too.
And I would say, like, where do you draw the line for yourself? If you were playing, what would you be okay with getting away with?
What would you accept?
What would you be okay getting away with?
You wouldn't like it, but you'd accept it because you're doing it too.
So look, on a very small scale, this will be my first example. Okay, you went right to the big one. I'm going to a very small one. So you're playing a pickup game of basketball. Okay. It's 10-10, game to 11, win by 1. Okay. Somebody's driving in on you. Okay. And he goes up for a layup. You foul him. Like, on purpose.
Yeah.
You know, not like intentional. You go for the ball.
You're trying to stop the basket.
But you hit arm.
Yeah.
Okay. So do you, and he misses it, y'all get the rebound, and now you're about to go on a fast break. Okay. Do you call the foul on yourself? Or do you allow, if
it's
you
obvious,
leave it up to him?
If it's obvious, I'm not going to take the ball. I'll give him the ball. Because I know if you can hear the slap,
right.
Okay.
But what if you just grab his arm? It's not a smack.
Well, but
his
you
arm.
could see that.
Right.
That's enough. You can see it to hear it. You can see it too.
Yeah,
if
and
you grab the guy's arm down.
I'm talking about an obvious foul.
Yeah, I don't take the ball.
Okay. Me either.
And a guy, I've had guys say to me, "I didn't call it."
Right, and I say I don't care.
I'm like,
I fouled you.
I fouled you.
Right.
I understand the whole man thing about the man thing about the man thing, the macho thing. Game point, you call. Game point. Your arm is still detached from your shoulder, by the way. So we'll put your arm back in, and then I'll give you the ball back.
Okay, so
And I'd make a joke of it, and then he'd take the ball.
Right.
Okay.
So we agree on that.
Yeah.
Okay, now let's flip it to the other side. Okay, still in pickup basketball, still 10-10, game 11, right? But you have the ball.
Yeah.
Okay, now you're driving in, and you go up for a layup.
Yep.
The guy fouls you, but it's not an obvious foul. Okay, maybe he bumps you a little bit as you're in the air, or he just, he obviously hits your hand, but it really didn't affect your shot.
Yeah.
Okay, so it's not an obvious foul, but to an objective person, they'd be like, "Yeah, he fouled." Do you call the foul, or do you let the other person call the foul?
What I'm about to say is consistent with my level of not just playing, but who coached me. Okay, because I was very fortunate to have a great coach as a father, and then I played for a few great ones too. Two of them are in the Hall of Fame, actually. So what they all taught me was to play through the whistle, meaning don't expect it. And if it doesn't go in, then because train yourself to make that shot under duress.
With a little bit.
With a little bit of, and in some cases a lot, because that's what the great ones do. You want to be great, you can't sit there and comply. This is why people are blowing up at Jason Tatum, because he's an All-NBA first teamer. Stop crying when you don't get a call. Okay, play through it. The great ones play through it, and part of that's youth. But you want to be the man. Be the man. You can't be the man when you want to be the man. When you feel like being. If you're gonna be the man, be the man. Okay.
All right, so what's your answer?
The answer is I don't call that.
Okay.
I play through it.
I like this.
I play through it.
I like this.
I play through it. Now, again, that's part of that is coaching. I was taught to be that way. I didn't just come up with that on my own. I was 8 when my father said it to me, and I didn't get it then. But by the time I was 11, 12, I got it. Okay? But that's because I was taught that at a young age.
Okay.
Play through the whistle.
Okay, but now let me bring up another part of this. Okay.
Yep.
Getting back to the Patriots way, do business as business is done. Okay. Let's say it's the same scenario. You're either one of those players. Okay, so your defense, your offense, whatever. And on the play before, it was 10-10. They had the ball. And the shoe was on the other foot, and the other person called the foul that you wouldn't have called. Or didn't call the foul that you would have. Basically, they did it the opposite way. So then if it happened to you,
If I know I fouled the person, whether I think it's ticky tack or not,
yeah.
if I know I fouled them, if by the letter of the law I fouled them, I'm not going to get mad about that. If I didn't foul them at all,
Yeah.
then I'm going to get mad about that. If I didn't touch him, I'll be mad about that. Because if I didn't touch him, I didn't touch him. If I got my hand, I put from a football per se.
That's not what I'm talking about. What I'm saying is, okay, we just had that conversation about.
Well, give me a scenario in football so I can apply that.
No, this is basketball still.
All right, well, that's why I'm
okay. So we're talking about the fact that if you were driving to the hole, okay, and a guy kind of fouled you, okay, but you missed the layup. Yeah. You were saying, nah, that's on me. I should have made the layup.
Unless he took my arm dead like I did.
But my point is, what if on the play before he drove to the hole on you, you kind of fouled him and he called it? Like, what if that person was doing it every time to you? Would that make you say, well, I'm going to do business as business is done? This person has called every ticky-tack foul on me. This is an important point, and I'm going to call it on that person. I would call it in that scenario. Because you're cheating me the whole game, and I haven't done it the entire game, but on game point, I'm going to call it. What do you think?
I think it's what I know because I've been in this scenario many times.
Yeah, so have I.
Many times. Too many times to count.
Anybody who's played pickup basketball.
I will tell you that my record in that scenario is over 95% of the time I win. Because that's how I win. Because at the end of that, the first thing I say is, and you call it that pussy shit call, and you still couldn't beat it. Because honestly, if you want to shut somebody up, that's how you shut somebody up. They're going to the side. This is pickup ball now. You're in the gym with a bunch of players, okay? And you want to shut somebody up because here's the thing. The people watching also know what's going on. So I used to love when this would happen to me because I kept telling myself, when I beat this son of a bitch, watch this, okay? Because then you win. Then on the way off, I would make a point to chase that guy down and go, yeah, and you called all that shit and it still wasn't good enough. Go take a seat.
Okay, so your answer is you still wouldn't call a foul.
No, I just rub it. I would just rub it in their nose after I beat them because that was my mentality.
Well, see, I wouldn't.
I
would be like, look, you've been calling ticky tack all game.
I'm not saying you're wrong. Two things can be true here. I don't have a problem with you.
I know.
I have a problem with you.
You're just reliving your.
I'm
glory
saying
days.
my glory days. And when I actually
whenever that happened to me,
when I have there's a trophy. There's trophies back there. You want to see it. But the point is, that's how I handled it. You know, look, you hit a spot for me that I actually happened to be very proud of in my past because that's part of what made me the player I was because I would play through that shit. Okay, and it doesn't mean I wouldn't get mad at an official. It's different than a play
this
cup.
Is pickup.
Yeah, this is pickup. If there's an official there and he blows the call, it's an obvious one. Oh, I lose my shit. I'm like, you gotta be kidding me. How did you miss that? Or if there's a guy, here's the other one that drives me nuts. If the official all the way across the court calls a call, it didn't happen. The guy right there who saw it didn't call because it didn't happen. They just go over and overrule and say, buddy, no. That drives me nuts. Good officials, I've seen good officials do that. I've seen guys blow a call. They call me after the road, and the guy was right there. Probably goes, "That didn't happen." And he goes, "Now he doesn't." He goes. They have a huddle, and they determine there's no foul in the play. Ball out. That's what they do. They don't go, "No, you're an idiot." They don't do that. They have a huddle.
All right, but let me take you now to a bigger version.
Okay, big version.
Okay, so for a couple of those scenarios, we agreed. In the last scenario, we disagreed a bit.
No, I don't have a problem with what you did.
I understand, but what I mean is
because you're not wrong.
No, what I mean is
you're doing business done. No, I'm saying. But I understand. Look, I don't think Belichick is wrong.
I understand. You understand.
Yeah, and I don't have a problem with.
I'm just saying on the first two, we would have handled it exactly the same.
Yeah.
On the third scenario, we would handle it differently.
Yes.
Okay, now here's a big one from baseball.
But I don't think you were wrong.
I got you. It wasn't right or wrong. No. But in baseball, in the ALCS, it was White Sox Angels. Mm-hmm. AJ Pierzynski was up. I think there was nobody on. It was tied at 1. And he strikes out swinging to end an inning. And the ump goes, right?
Yeah. Calls a strike. Yeah.
Catcher caught the ball very low to the ground.
Okay.
It didn't hit the ground. But Pierzynski turns back and looks and acts like it hit the ground, runs to first. The catcher, the whole Angels team is walking off the field because the umpire
has called
him out. Yeah. And if it hit the ground, the ump wouldn't do that. He'd wait until a tag or a throw.
Yeah.
Pierzynski runs to first, and they call him safe at first. And that changed the game, and the White Sox won.
The ball actually didn't come out of his glove.
No. It never hit the ground. Pierzynski was saying it bounced on the ground.
And 2 umpires missed this. It's not just the one.
The entire crew missed it.
But the first place umpire, the first base umpire.
No, but the umpire out at second base has the best view.
So 3 umpires.
Because he can see the ball. He can see the catcher catch the ball.
Yeah, the ball never hit the ground.
No.
Wow, that's bad. Did the replay pick it up?
There was no replay at that time.
No, but did the commentators bring it up?
Yes.
Okay, so they knew
it was a major deal.
Wow. Maybe that's what brought up. Maybe that's what part of what brought about replay was a play like that. Because honestly,
White Sox ended up winning that series and winning the World Series.
Because I would tell you that that's a series-changing potentially play.
Major.
So this is why that validates the need for instant replay.
But my point is, if you were AJ Pierzynski, would you have done that? No. Neither would I.
No, I would not have done that. I wouldn't even thought to done it. If my coach had told me to do that, I'd be like, "Fuck, kidding me? No."
But see, I will also
because to me that's cheating.
Yeah.
That's not gamesmanship. Mm-mm. That's cheating. Okay. So. Gamesmanship to me,
but it is gamesmanship. It's a questionable thing. He didn't do anything outside of the rules. Actually, the umpire blew the call. The umpire called him out.
He took advantage of poor officiating.
Right,
is what he did.
Which I think is on the line of gamesmanship. Because the umpires could have overruled it, right?
Right.
Like if somebody fakes a flop, if somebody does a flop in basketball, the ref doesn't have to call it.
No.
It's cheating, but the ref doesn't have to call it.
No. Yeah.
And
that's what I'm saying.
If AJ Pierzynski runs to first.
You asked me if I could do that. I said no, I couldn't do it.
Yeah.
But do I have a problem with him doing it? No, because it happens in every sport. The flop happens in every. I think even hockey has the flop.
I have a little bit of a problem.
Everybody does that.
I know, but I don't like
You just you just said in regards to basketball, if someone's doing it, you're going to comply. So now if they're all doing it, why? That's just the same thing. It's just a different sport.
Okay, but flopping is one thing I won't.
I won't flop.
I won't flop.
I won't flop. Yeah, that's a different question. If you're asking me if I'll flop,
But that's what I'm saying. I
the
wouldn't
answer is
flop.
no. But there's other forms of gamesmanship that I might like trash talking. I'll do that all day long.
No. All I'm saying is what AJ Pierzynski did was not cheating, but it's still gamesmanship that is too far for me.
He knows the rule, right?
Well, the other thing is we're assuming AJ Pierzynski really didn't think the ball hit the ground. Maybe he really thought it did. Because if he really thought it did, then he did the right thing.
If the ball hits the ground, like actually hits the ground, that's kind of obvious, isn't it?
No.
No? How so? Because the glove is covering, you can't see.
When a catcher puts his mitt on the ground.
Yeah, the glove's concealing it.
On it.
So you don't know.
No. I'm talking about like, so.
The top of the mitt is in the ground.
So he has backhanded the ball. Yeah. And it hits right in the webbing.
Yes.
I mean, it barely misses the ground.
Yes.
Sometimes it's not obvious whether it hit the ground or not, especially if the person swings.
Okay. So
because it obstructs the view.
So what you're saying is there's a chance he honestly thought the ball.
I think there's a chance.
I don't know that. That's okay. That's fair.
I don't believe it.
I have to allow for that. No, but right. It's possible.
Yeah.
It's certainly possible. And
to me, it felt very manufactured.
Do I personally think that's what happened? No, but I don't. But is it possible? Yes, it's possible.
So if that's the case, I'm fine with it.
Okay, so if he honestly thought that happened, that he dropped it, he flubbed it or whatever.
Then of course you run.
Then you run. The rule is you run. When in doubt, and I'll bet when in doubt, run. That's probably what he was told. Yeah. If you think, but you have to just run anyway, because you never know.
But I think it was
and if he was coached that way, that's good coaching.
Well, of course he's coached that way.
Well, I'm saying that's good coaching. Right. Run any. If you're when in doubt, run. If you think you hit the ground, run.
I think every Major League Baseball player has heard that. Not every Major League Baseball player follows it.
I would agree with that.
But
without taking a straw poll, I would agree.
And I know AJ Pierzynski is that type of player. He was very fundamentally sound. Mm-hmm. But I still think he knew enough to know that ball didn't hit the ground. Mm-hmm. And he was like, "Shit!" All of a sudden he was in that position. He turned around and he was like, "No, that hit the ground." It wasn't premeditated, but I think as he was doing it, he knew.
I wish I could see the play.
I could pull it up.
If I could see, but seeing it live right at the moment, it's different.
But it made me not like him.
Because if you didn't say, it's one thing if you don't see, like it happens in the moment, you don't know what's, then you react to it.
Yeah.
Now I have a preconceived thing in the back of my head. So so I don't know what I would be thinking in the moment.
And that's the thing. I feel weird because it made me not like him.
If he's coached that way,
he might have done it really.
If he's coached that way, then he was doing what he was supposed to do, and I don't have a problem with that. I don't.
But if he knew,
I mean, at the end of the day, the refs botched the play.
Right. But if he knew, you would have a problem with it.
If he did, yes, I would.
Yes, but the refs botched
it. But the refs botched it.
All right, so give me some scenarios or instances that you remember, and I'll give you my opinion.
In boxing, it was always holding after the break and getting a shot when you had the guy's arm. That drove me nuts.
Don't agree with that.
Yeah, that wasn't gamesmanship because you're hitting an exposed area.
Yeah.
And that I never did that to her when I bought, but it was done to me more than once. And
what about holding every 10 seconds in boxing? That's gamesmanship.
That's gamesmanship more than anything.
And I hate it.
I'm not a fan of it. I didn't do it. I understand why certain fighters do it because for certain fighters, it's helping you compete.
It's helping you try to win.
Yeah, if you're trying to win, and technically it's not. I mean, they separate you.
But it's a questionable way to try to win.
Well, if you're trying to hang on because you're trying to get yourself set, or maybe you took a shot.
That's different. That's different.
And you're trying to get your
hold on for
but I'm saying there's different scenarios.
But that's not gamesmanship. That's survival.
Well, but again, I'm saying there's different scenarios. I'm just trying to give you all the scenarios.
But to me, we're talking about the one where the guy comes in knowing, all right,
I'm just going to
grab him every 10 seconds.
It's survival too, because if he lets him free, he's going to kick his ass.
Different kind. That's
survival.
When your strategy,
maybe you're not going to win.
When your strategy is survival, come on,
well,
don't even play.
If you don't think you can beat, first of all, I would like to think you don't step into a ring unless you think you can win.
Right. Strategy can't be survival unless we're talking life or death.
I mean, I don't know that for a fact, but my personal opinion is I never got in the ring unless I thought I could win. I think I could win.
Okay, Muhammad.
No, but that's your mentality. Doesn't mean you're always right. Well, that was my mentality on the basketball court. I didn't step on a court unless I thought I could win.
I got you.
Okay, that's across sports.
I got you.
So I mean, so with boxing, it was the holding in particular.
I guess there were times in rec sports where, like, if I knew we really had no chance,
yeah, well,
survival isn't a bad strategy.
I'd rather lose if people
Let's
see.
just try to be in the game.
Yeah, because there are teams. You know this. You played enough pickup ball, but you know that there are two teams that you already know one of them's 30 points better. And then, but if that team only loses by 10, you're like, well, good for them. They made it competitive.
Right.
So there's that.
I've had those.
Yeah, there's that. So I mean, these are all valid. It just depends on.
So maybe I'm not that mad at it. I still think it's a weak way to try to win.
Well, again, but it's
in a fight. You can't just hold.
No, you can't just hold. But let's go to football.
Okay.
Because there's a ton of these in football.
Right.
I mean, when you got 22 guys running around, I mean, when I played, they didn't have the 5-yard chuck rule. They didn't have it. Okay, so you could literally be hanging on me the whole. I mean, you couldn't trip me. But you could impede my movement. You could force me to the outside, not let me do the in cut or things like that. Or on the go route, you could force me to the side as well as let me drift towards the middle to split the safeties. So I mean, there's a number of these were all.
You got to stop getting too far in the X's.
But these were all examples.
Give me a normal.
These were all examples of gamesmanship, not letting a guy or where you plant yourself in a position where the guy can't go that way unless he runs you over. That's gamesmanship. Really? So to me, that would.
If you're within 5 yards, that's legal.
No, this was beyond 5 yards. This was beyond 5 yards. I'm not talking about the line when your hand fight. That I have no problem.
I never played organized football, so I can't speak.
So when you're at the line and they call it the jam, try and jam you up to delay the route if it's a timing.
That's
route.
okay though.
Yeah. So no, it's part of it. I'm not
You're
opposed
to jam.
That's within 5. I'm talking about happened beyond 5 yards.
I kind of feel like in football you're always fighting, so like.
Well, you have to.
There's got to be some.
What I would say is this: the defense, and this is where the game's gotten out of whack. The defense is just as entitled to the ball as the offense.
Not in this league.
Not anymore. Not anymore. Stanley Morgan, who was my favorite Patriot growing up, just got nominated for the Offensive Hall of Fame. He played back in the 80s. He still has the highest career, and this is when you could hold and do all this shit up and down the field. Okay. Stanley Morgan, for his career, averaged over 19 yards a catch. Let that sink in for a minute. Over 19 yards a catch. And when he did that, there were no rules back then. Okay, in terms of the safety. Once you went into their area of the field and that ball was there, you were fair game. Okay?
See, but I have to say, I agree more with the rules now.
Well, it's safety matters.
But for me, it's the way the game should be played because. No. If I'm the offense and the ball is in my possession, I should have more rights to it.
If it's already there. Remember when it's in the air. The defense is every right to that ball.
No, but when it's in the air, if I'm throwing it's in my possession.
A lot of this crap gets called when the ball's in the air. And some of it is legitimate and some of it is flat out garbage.
Okay, I see what you're saying.
I've seen where a defensive back has established position on an offensive player. And he goes up, and the offensive player takes this guy out to avoid the interception, but there's no penalty on it. You can't call pass interference on the defense before the ball gets there, but then when the defensive guy has been, and then the offense does it to him, you don't call a penalty on the offense? Yeah. And they never do.
I'm not talking about that.
Well, but that's an example.
I'm talking about the old school. You could kill guys in the secondary.
My only problem all
over them.
was
that wasn't real.
My only problem was them impeding my route. Meaning, run with me. And when the ball goes up, fight me for it. I have no problem with all that. What I have a problem with is if I'm going left, you don't trip me up and prevent me from going that way.
Yeah, of course.
That's not, and they would do it and get away with it.
Yeah, that's weak.
Okay, that's weak sauce. Okay, first of all, run with me. If you can stay with me, stay with me. If you got to jam me at the line, then do that. That's fine. I have no problem with that shit. But don't turn and trip me up or try to get something like that or grab my no.
So, do you have any famous football gamesmanship examples that I can give you my opinion?
People have seen?
Yeah.
Oh, God.
Because I gave you the A.J. Przynski one in baseball.
The big one that comes to mind for me. It doesn't involve the Patriots, actually.
Gamesmanship in football.
Gamesmanship in football. Deion Sanders, primetime, who's regarded by many as the best shutdown corner ever. And he's got a legitimate argument. Used to, and this was gamesmanship. he used to, and it was early in the game. He did it with Andre Rison. He did it with a couple of guys. He would literally get into altercations with them right from on the first freaking play of the game, and he set a tone. And while I'm all for setting a tone, there's a way to set a tone. And you smacking the guy upside the head or things like that to me is too far. That's
But he
too
got
much.
thrown out of that game.
That kept going is why he got thrown out. But he's done it many times where it was just one slap and the ref didn't catch it, or whatever. But I've seen it because I've seen the replays of it, where he would physically do these things to get in these guys' heads. If you're as great as he was, I don't think he, and he wouldn't. It wasn't every game. It wasn't every. It was more receivers that he felt were a threat to him. And a lot of guys, quite honestly, didn't. Deion was superior to. He was. I mean, he actually played offense for the Cowboys. He was a defensive back that could catch the ball. A lot of them, they can cover and they can tackle, but a lot of them don't catch the ball. Obviously, they'd be on offense. There's a defensive players with their hands, they play offense. Everything else. But cornerbacks, who were supposed to be better at that than anybody else in the defense, in terms of gaining possession, he would do things like that every now and then.
All right, so you're saying
I'm
like
trying to think of a specific example.
no, but we could even speak in general terms. Or
yeah.
you think it's crossing the line to physically do something to somebody to get them angry and upset?
I think
I would agree with that.
I would, yeah. I think that to me, if you're going that far.
And to your point, Deion was good enough. He didn't even.
Deion never had to do that. No, I mean, and the one scenario where I totally understood it was Jerry Rice, because it was Jerry bleeping Rice, where they would get into it. And they didn't come to blows, but I mean, he was, and I understand why he did it.
Oh yeah.
But I mean, to me, he was so good, he didn't have to do it. He didn't have to do it.
But here's my
and even if he
thing.
wasn't that good, you shouldn't do it. But
Here's-
I mean, he
here's
never
my
had to
thing,
do
RJ.
anything like that.
If I were on a team, like I wouldn't be mad at him if he did that.
No.
I would be mad at my teammate if they responded to that
Yeah.
in a negative
In
way.
a negative way.
Because
You gotta-
to
you
me
gotta-
it's like, I wouldn't do
Yeah,
that, but
I mean,
like that's
and
well
again,
within the rules.
Whenever it wasn't often, it was another legit. The guy was legit. He was legit.
I don't care what somebody
So,
does to get in your head.
yeah.
They could call you the
I mean,
worst name.
At least,
They could push
at least
you. If you let
verbal,
them in there,
yeah,
that's
verbal.
on you.
Verbal is different. Not and again, but to me, there's things I don't think you say verbally. And I'm all for trash talking. I grew up in a trash talking generation, but there are things I don't think you say.
Of course.
There's a line there.
But still, if you're in an
So-
important game and somebody says one of those things, you can't lose your shit.
No, you can't, because you almost have to expect it
Right.
because of the magnitude of the game.
You'll do
The
anything.
bigger the stakes, the more likely these things tend to pop up. So somebody somewhere is going to do it on the team because they need to gain an edge or try this. There's the frog.
There are plenty of
gain an edge.
words and phrases that are off limits, but if they're
So
used,
if you
gotta-
ask me about gamesmanship, I would say there's a lot of things you can do that I understand. Getting physical or and not during the play. That's during the play. I'm talking about after the whistle crap.
yeah, but during the
that's
play,
the-
if you smack a guy, below the belt,
Offensive and defensive linemen, the stories they could tell you about what goes on
Yeah, that's whack.
in the trenches is
hate
just. And again, they both sides do it.
but that's
but
that's the thing. If
that's
somebody
the
did it to
thing.
me,
both
I
sides
would
do it.
definitely do it back.
Yeah, both sides do it, and that's usually how it happens.
Somebody grab my privates.
yeah,
I'd
or
be,
things like that. Or
yeah.
they step on your hand, or they things
Sometimes you have to lose
You
your
know.
professionalism because
Yeah.
someone else has no.
Someone has crossed the line.
Mm-hmm.
When you're stepping on somebody's hand and with a cleat on, and you weigh 300 pounds, I call that crossing the line.
Well, remember
I
when
would.
Hainsworth stepped on the guy's face?
Yeah.
And nobody tried to fight Hainsworth for that.
Yeah.
I mean, he was enormous. Nobody could have beat him up, but like, shouldn't the whole team have
The
jumped
one
on him?
sport where that doesn't happen is hockey. And that's what I love about hockey. You pull that shit, somebody in hockey, someone's coming for you. Okay? It's not a question of if, it's a question of when. That's the one thing I've always loved about hockey. It has the football mentality where you mess with one man, you got all of us. Football, because of the rules, you can only do so much, though. Hockey, you can literally get in a fight and you get a 5-minute major and be back on the ice.
That's the one thing.
So, and I understand why they don't do that in football.
well, that's
because-
how it is in every other sport.
yeah, basketball you can't fight after what happened.
Baseball?
Yeah, baseball you can't fight anymore. Basketball used to have fights; you'd be suspended for a game.
Dude, baseball,
Now
used to
you're
have
out.
a- baseball, you
Now,
could charge the mound
you
and
get
then
a
get
fight-
back in the box.
You get in a fight in basketball, they could suspend you for the season.
well, because
For
of
the season.
because they fought fans
I
one time.
mean, well, the fans came on the floor,
No, they should have fought the fans.
Yeah, if you're Jermaine O'Neal and somebody squares up to you and they're on the floor, I have no problem with Jermaine O'Neal doing what he did.
But that happened after Artest ran into the crowd.
Yes, and that was too far. Artest took it too far.
Because he got something thrown at him, which I understand.
I get why he was
assault.
mad. Yeah.
That's ridiculous.
I get why he was mad, but what he does is he points it out. They got cameras all over the place.
They needed to just get off the floor.
Yeah, I mean, so he went into this.
Yeah. He escalated the situation.
And I understand why he got angry. I totally understand why he got
angry. No, but when Jermaine O'Neal popped that dude that walked out, or was it?
Dude, it was two of them.
No, it wasn't Jermaine O'Neal.
It was Jermaine O'Neal.
No, it was somebody else bigger. It
might have been Jermaine O'Neal.
But Artest came back on the floor.
It was Jermaine O'Neal. He was big. He had the headband on.
Jermaine O'Neal ran and hit somebody.
There was two guys on the court that came at him. He dropped them both. And they were much smaller. First of all, what these two idiots were thinking, I have no idea.
But didn't Artest square up with somebody on the court too?
He did, but Jermaine O'Neal took out two guys.
I thought he came running and
no, these guys came right at Jermaine O'Neal, and neither one of them.
I'm gonna need to pull up the.
I don't think either one of them was 6 feet tall.
No,
I don't think either one.
They had no business.
They had no. First of all, this guy is a 6'11" professional.
Those people deserve to get rocked.
Who is a lot quicker than you, and has a wingspan twice the length of your body. Okay.
Yeah, but
and if he connects at 6'11", 260, and you're 5'10", you're going to get hurt.
Ron Artest was the scarier one.
Ron Artest is.
He's built like a tank.
Well, yeah, but he's not as big as Jermaine. Bigger than
but he's tall and skinny.
No, he's not. He's 6'11", 260. He's not a stick.
Oh, he was 260?
He was 260. He's not. Jermaine O'Neal was not a stick.
That is pretty big.
Jermaine O'Neal was not a stick by any. This
260.
This wasn't.
Sure?
Yeah.
Damn.
Yeah. He was 6'11".
That's a big man.
6'11" guys are usually between 240 and 260.
I thought he was.
They are. My buddy Jimmy Hayes, if he's watching in Michigan, but he played serious. He was 6'9", 6'10". He was about 240, 250. He was somewhere in there.
All right.
Yeah.
Then they shouldn't have went after him.
Why are you going after a man that size? I don't care if there was two of you. I don't care unless you had a gun. There's no way. So, in any event, but the NBA changed drastically. Now you can get suspended forever. Like they could, hockey, it's a 5-minute major. Football, they won't. You can get thrown off for ripping a guy. You rip the guy's helmet off. So even in football, they don't allow it anymore. Now in football's case, I really understand it. It's like basketball too. These guys are so big, they could really hurt each other. I mean, if Shaquille O'Neal ever wound up and hit somebody, he could have killed him. I mean,
I feel like he always missed when he did that.
Well, because the guy who was swinging at was 5 foot, but he's so much bigger.
Remember when Barkley ducked him?
Barkley
took him down.
Barkley's a tough guy too.
Yeah, Barkley's big.
I mean, Barkley's a tough guy too. I mean, but these guys, they're
Barkley,
so big.
Him and Barkley together.
You go back to the days of
TNT.
Maurice Lucas and Rick. These there were some bad dudes. The most recent one was Kenyon Martin. Kenyon Martin was amazing. Just didn't mess with.
What about Rashid?
No, he was more of a talker. Kenyon Martin was a doer. Kenyon Martin was the guy who wouldn't say anything to you other than "I'll be outside."
He did seem very quiet.
Yeah, it's the quiet ones you're going to worry about. And Kenyon Martin is the type of guy. He would simply say to you, like walking back out of a timeout, "I'll be in the parking lot after the game." And then you'll be walking out with your team, and he'll be standing there in the parking lot right next to your bus. That's who Kenyon Martin was. And there were guys like him.
What about Oakley?
Yeah, Oakley was that kind of guy.
Oakley was an enforcer.
He was a legitimate enforcer. and there was more of them back in the 90s and 80s than there are now.
Dude.
But the game doesn't allow for that.
Can I just tangent on the New York Knicks of the early 90s real quick?
Sure.
I grew up a Knicks fan. I love the Knicks so much. But, having, you got Patrick Ewing, right? Who a lot of people clown Pat because he didn't win a championship. But he's my favorite athlete of all time. But, having your, best player and then having, one of your second best players be his goon and enforcer. It was so
Oakley,
cool.
That's not fair though, because Oakley was skilled. Oakley was when Oakley was in Chicago.
I'm saying he was their second best player.
Yeah, he could play.
I know. I'm just saying.
There are guys that would qualify as goons. Oakley wasn't one of them. Oakley was legit tough.
No.
Who could play?
I didn't mean goon in a negative term. I'm sorry. That is a negative.
Let's say there's goons.
I'm saying
there are goons.
I'm saying,
but he's not one of them.
No, I'm saying the Knicks' second best player was also their enforcer.
Yeah,
that was cool, and he was basically Ewing's bodyguard. When anybody would do something to Ewing, Oakley would be there to freaking lock them down.
Yeah, I mean,
and hit him with something.
And there are versions of this now. Marcus Smart is that guy in Boston, and
but he's not as big as Oakley was a monster.
No, but Marcus Smart is not small.
Yeah. But he wasn't
Okay.
Oakley, dude.
No, but he's like Marcus Smart is like 6'4". He's a big dude.
But Oakley was like
6'9". Yeah, he's a bigger
And
dude.
he was
Yeah, he's
thicker,
a bigger
and
dude.
he was thicker than
He's
Marcus.
a bigger dude. You know, I mean, so I don't really know.
I understand, but also like I know Tatum, you know, is probably going to be a Hall of Famer one day.
If he stays healthy, yeah, he should be.
But like at the time, Patrick Ewing was like, you know, top 3 centers in the league.
He was that whole era.
You know,
he was.
He was a star.
He was that good.
So like having the enforcer of your star, it was just like a cool dynamic.
It was.
That made that team really cool. And then Anthony
they were
Mason was
Yeah.
kind of a
Mason.
he wasn't an enforcer. He was just a guy everybody looked at and said, I don't know what he's capable of, so I'm just going.
I can
Just
never.
gonna let him
I can
be.
never figure out Anthony Mason. To me,
He
was
had talent.
He was a very large bowling ball.
He had talent, dude.
He did. He did. Strangely enough,
He had some skill.
He was a
man.
freak of nature athletically. He was much more athletic than his size.
He was big.
But I didn't know what to make of him.
Yeah,
I didn't know. What
it
to
was
make
interesting.
Of him. It was interesting. But anyway, there were a difference between enforcers and goons.
Yeah,
And
Oakley was not a goon.
Oakley was
He
not a
could
goon.
play
There are
basketball.
guys that are like, you know, to me,
Goons can't play.
goons can't play.
they
Or
lack skill.
or the things you talk about with them don't start with shooting or dribbling. It's like, well, he can really pass the ball, or he can really box out well.
I need you to body
He
him.
needs to body. He bodies this guys up and gets him off his spot. That guy falls under the category of more of a. Oh yeah, Draymond Green. Sorry, yeah, Draymond Green. Anyway,
Oh, he
so-
can play though.
You ever seen Draymond Green shoot? Yeah,
So Draymond's attitude is very goony,
and his
But-
attitude is goony.
but I
Yeah.
think he's very skilled.
Yeah, he can really pass. He can really get a guy off his spot. Yeah, he's really skilled. Draymond Green.
He's an important piece of that team.
He is. He's their goon.
He's more than that.
He's their goon.
He's more than
He's
just
a,
a goon.
he's a goon.
All right, so who's another goon?
Well, there are tons of them. There's not as many now.
Would you say Lambeer was a goon?
No, Lambeer could play.
But he was pretty goony.
But the thing is, he pushed
attitude
he
was
pushed
real
himself
goon.
into goon status because he would do things that were just good. Like
Cross the
he
line.
bent Larry Bird, almost split him in half. And
Cross
Bird,
the line.
Bird turned around and punched him in the face on the ground, and Bird got thrown out, and then Lambeer didn't. Lambeer bent him in half. Like the play, he basically chokes him down, like, and Bird rolled and bam, and then there it goes. And then Rodman and Bird throws the ball off Rodman. It was crazy. And
who was the one that clotheslined Rambis?
that was McHale.
That was a little much.
That was beyond the limit.
That was goon.
That was goon stuff.
That was goon too.
That I'll tell you what, that play changed the entire series because that play told LA all this Showtime shit is over. It's over. That there, ladies and gentlemen, was the first example, at least I saw in basketball, of a team imposing their will on another team.
But you're saying you wouldn't have done
Would I have clotheslined him?
that? Yeah, you wouldn't have done. Come on, you're better than that.
Kevin McHale's a Hall of Famer.
No, I understand accepting it and taking the championship and realizing it probably mentally changed
If
the
you
series.
just, well, if
I'm
you,
just saying,
if
would you have done it?
If you, well, let me explain this to you.
Because in football, you said physical stuff is no.
If it's during the play, I understand unless you're like stepping on a guy's hand with your cleat. There's
But he
things
clotheslined
physical.
him.
There's physical things you can do that
I'm not
okay
saying
with.
you couldn't hard foul him.
Yeah, well, that's a hard foul.
No, that was a takedown.
What I would say to that is,
Okay, tiptoe Boston.
I'm not going to tiptoe Boston. If you just got beat by
Just be
33 points on national TV and they're dancing around and they're rubbing your nose in it,
You're gonna try to hurt him? You wouldn't. You wouldn't.
I'd try to beat him. But
Exactly.
would there be something physical somewhere in that? Yeah. Would it be the
wouldn't
extreme
be
of a
that.
clothesline?
No way.
I guess it would depend on who it is.
No way.
If it was Draymond, I'd clothesline.
No
Draymond.
way.
If it was Lambeer, who's been doing this to everybody else, would I clothesline Bill
Now
Lambeer?
you have
Yeah.
a point, but
I would clothesline
Kurt Rambis.
Kurt Rambis wasn't that guy, so I wouldn't
No.
have done that to Kurt.
He didn't
Is
deserve
that what I
that.
said? But no. But the question is, would you do it? I'm saying it depends on who it is.
Okay, but
okay.
I'm asking you
Are
about
there
that
guys?
situation, and you said no.
If it was Kurt Rambis, no. Now I don't know. Now to be fair, because I'm not on the court, I don't know if anything was going on between him and McHale, because God knows they were throwing.
I think
elbows.
McHale just didn't like his goggles.
But here's what we don't know. We don't know what was going on prior to that play. Because here's the thing that could have happened. This is very possible. They're down on the other end. McHale goes up. Maybe Rambis throws a shot in his back and it hurts him. McHale's like, you mother. All right, mother. Next time I see you.
I'm gonna close on.
Yeah,
him.
and maybe that happened too, because I don't know what led up to that play. But has that something like that happened before? Yes, it has
All right.
in every sport.
Okay, but
so I
5
don't
minutes
know.
ago, You said on game point, if somebody called a ticky-tack foul on you,
Ticky tack is one thing. This is a
no.
clothesline.
Okay, but you're saying game point, they go up for a layup and you barely touch them, they call a foul. When you come back down, you go up for a layup, they barely touch you or they kind of foul you and you don't call the foul.
No.
But here you're saying if a guy gives you a little shiver in the back, you clothesline him?
Depends on what that shiver did. If he hit me in the spine and I went numb in my right leg for 3 minutes, I might clothesline that son of a bitch. I might. If he hits me in my rib and I can't breathe for 5 minutes, because he takes one of those, and that's happening, I might clothesline the son of a bitch.
That's not what we're talking about.
This is what we're talking about. If you're saying it's ticky tack, I'm not going to clothesline a guy in a ticky tack foul. If it's something like, say he grabs my jersey, I'm not going to clothesline the guy for that.
No.
Okay.
I'm just saying it. To me, it seems like an equivalent in that somebody wronged you on one side.
Deliberately.
Would you equally wrong them? That's what I'm talking about.
If a guy, I'm saying if a guy grabs my jersey, I'm not going to clothesline.
No, but would you grab his jersey?
I might.
Okay.
I might.
So that's
I don't
different.
know. I might.
That's different from what you said earlier, where you're like, "No, I'm just going to win anyway."
Well, no. If I'm going,
I'm
up
just
for
going to win anyway.
If I'm going up for a rebound and he prevents me from leaving the ground because he grabbed my shirt or whatever, and then he gets the rebound on the next play down, I might do that to him because we're off the ball.
That's not what I'm talking about.
What are you talking about?
It's going to get too convoluted if I go into it.
Well, no, it's not. Give me an example. What do you think?
Well, so it's like
a ticky-tack foul, I would not call a ticky-tack foul. Okay? I wouldn't do
But I'm saying,
If
if
it's
he
a-
just ticky-tacked you, why can't you get him back?
I didn't say you couldn't. You asked me if I would do it.
Right.
So I'm saying I might.
So if
Depends
somebody,
on what it is.
So if somebody was trying to win the game cheating on ticky-tack shit, you wouldn't retaliate. But if they were cheating on some real, like, physical shit, then you would retaliate.
If they hurt me, because you can be ticky tack and not if you hurt somebody.
Yeah.
That's different.
But I'm saying
That's
either
different.
way, they're
If
basically
a
cheating.
guy, well, first of all, you can't throw an elbow into a guy when his arm. You can't do that.
Right.
Okay.
But you also can't call fake fouls.
No,
You know what
you
I'm
said
saying?
ticky tack doesn't mean fake. Fake is when if I didn't touch him at all. That would drive me up a wall. If I didn't touch the guy and he called it on game, I would go nuts.
But what if you touched him a little bit, but the whole game y'all were allowing contact?
I would say to them, you haven't called this all game,
Right.
and now you're calling it on game point.
Right. So I'm
You
saying
really gonna do that?
So I'm saying is if y'all stopped game point, so they did keep the ball.
Yeah.
You rebounded it. Now you come back down, and they kind of barely touch you, but just like they called, wouldn't you make the same call on them?
No, I never did.
That's why it's funny because it's not eye for an eye in that situation.
No, it's not.
It is,
if it's a physical,
it is in
if
the
it's a
other one.
physical thing where if someone hits you in the thigh with like a knee or something, we come off a pick or whatever, and that hurts. Like you got to swell.
Oh yeah, you give them the thigh back.
Yeah, you give him the thigh because you hurt the guy.
No, I'm consistent.
Yeah. I don't think that.
I think you do business as business is done. If somebody is wronging you on one end in a big spot, sometimes you got to.
I think it depends on what. If it's physical and it's not allowed, that's when I do it.
Okay, that's a good point.
If it's physical, it's not allowed.
It's not allowed.
That's when I do it. If it's that, I'm not going to get. That's not to me. But if someone takes a shot at you, and you're defenseless, yep, there'll be retaliation.
Clotheslining Kurt Rambis.
I don't know.
But we don't know that happened. He's just trying to change.
We don't
the
know.
narrative.
I'm just trying to figure out what because I don't
He
think
doesn't
McHale.
agree with Mikhail's actions.
I didn't say I didn't agree with McHale's
That's
action.
right.
I'm saying I don't know what
You
led up
said
to
you
it.
didn't disagree with them.
I said I didn't. I don't know what led up to it. What, like I said, what if
Right.
on the
He's
play
just keeping it
before?
out. He's
I'm trying to be
keeping it
consistent with what I'm saying. I'm saying because if someone physically did something that you can't do on the next position, am I going to do something to them? Most likely, I am.
Okay.
Okay.
But
That's
if nothing
saying-
like that happened,
Then I'm not going to close line the game.
then you disagree.
I disagree. That's all I'm saying. But to me, again, it depends on what happened
Sure.
that led up to that moment. I don't know. Nobody knows really what happened the play before or that led to that McHale clothesline verse. What I do know is that play changed the series. That's what I do know. Okay, McHale didn't even get thrown out of the game because they were men back then. He had thrown out for that kind of shit. Now, if it happened today in Millennialville, that guy would be sitting on a couch for a year getting therapy while he's getting suspended for 82
Don't
days.
hate on us millennials.
Because you guys can't take something. It's just funny. As a competitor, as a competitor and someone who played like, because the thing about, you say, well, the old school complaints. I'm like, well, yeah, if you couldn't touch me, I mean, if I'm Michael Jordan or Larry Bird, any of these guys who did what they did then, but they were allowed to do what they did then, but now you can't do it, what do you think is going to go into their head? What would go into your head? Okay, if you scored 21,000 points in the NBA when they could kick, grab, claw, put whatever, and not get thrown out of a game, and now here they can't even breathe on you, and you're a guy like Bird or Magic or Mike, what would you think? And then these guys are breaking these records. You look at them going, wow. Really? What would you think?
Get off
no,
my
because
lawn.
you know what? That makes sense. That actually makes sense because
Right.
if that
What
were
do you
him,
want me to say?
he would think the same thing,
What do you
and he
want
would
me to
have the
say?
right to. So, and I'm not saying these guys aren't great players. I think LeBron's all
Stop
time.
hating on millennials.
I'm hating on the fact that they don't understand or respect. Not, but some of them do. It's not all of you. That's not fair. That's painting a broken. There are millennials who totally.
I'm a millennial.
There are millennials who totally understand.
I'm a millennial.
Who totally understand the difference in eras and what was allowed then. And
Are
what
you
was
saying I
different.
don't?
I didn't say you. I said there were people that do.
I'm a millennial.
I know, but do you understand where I'm coming from?
I understand the difference in eras.
Okay. So when these guys get a little hot under the collar, this guy did something you didn't do, you're kind of looking at them like, did he really know?
No, but like, why
So-
is it not okay to just bring up everything?
I'm not saying you shouldn't bring up everything. What I'm
Because I
saying
think
is-
you can have those debates about people within eras,
Of course you can.
as long as
But
you
have
understand.
To. But you have to understand the parameters.
Right. Yeah, I get it.
So when you make a statement like this guy's better than that guy, or this guy does that thing better than that guy, you have to take the parameters into consideration
Yeah.
because
But-
otherwise it's not.
But honestly, I think whenever I say this person's better than another, it means I like
Usually,
them. You know what I'm saying?
9 times out of 10, that is.
It's like I'm not telling you the best player. I'm telling you my favorite player.
I mean, statistically,
Because it's silly to compare some of them.
yeah, I mean, statistically speaking, the greatest player ever is Kareem Abdul-Jabbar. If you think about who's done the most, where he checks the most boxes, it's Kareem Abdul-Jabbar.
But he's not one of my favorite.
No, but
He's
he's
not one of the
never
one-
brought up in
he's
the
not
GOAT
one of the
conversation
ones I
because he's not
watched.
popular.
Right, and I never watched
He's
him.
polar. He's not popular.
I was too young.
So,
I'm bringing up
and to me, that's
people
not
I'm aware
fair.
of.
And I'm not a Kareem fan. I can't stand the son of a bitch, but he was a great player.
Right.
So I just respect greatness. And this is a Diet Celtic fan saying that a Laker is arguably the greatest player ever, or in my by fact, he is. He checks the most boxes. So when people say, I'm like, well, factually speaking, you're wrong because you are. Because I know who that is. If you don't say Kareem Abdul-Jabbar, factually speaking, you are wrong.
Right.
You are. So that's how I base everything I do off of. So
But like when I say who's the best player, it's coming from a biased mind.
of course it is.
I'm talking about the people I've watched the most.
I mean,
the
now-
people I connected with the
Now,
most.
saying there's the guy who statistically is the best, and there's the guy who just plays the game the best.
And that's subjective.
That's subjective. I mean, to me, it's either Jordan or Bird. If you're going by in the air, it's Jordan. If you're going by on the ground, it's Bird. Michael was the best in the air that I've ever seen. Bird is the best on the ground that I've ever seen. Because Michael played above the rim and Larry played below it. That's just a fact.
And
If you want-
even as that's grounded in fact, it's still subjective.
of course it is, because there's other guys that did that.
Exactly.
So I mean, Dr. J.
Right.
Anybody sleeping on Dr. J?
But my thing is,
I mean,
I never
but-
saw Dr. J.
Oh, but I did.
So when I know.
Yeah,
But when
so-
I think about the best players,
and this is
it
why
has nothing to do with them.
old people blow up at you young people, because if they've seen Bill Russell play and you haven't, you can't have an opinion on Bill Russell. And by the way, that's a fair statement.
is.
If you didn't see the guy play, don't
It
tell
is.
me you think this guy. You didn't see this guy.
That's true. But nobody's going to go,
No, I can tell you.
I'm just going to let you say he's
I can
better."
tell you the highlight reels that I have seen of Bill Russell. It's just
Right.
like, I mean,
But
that
here's
man
the-
was everywhere.
And here's the funny thing, though. Never saw Bill Russell play, but I would take Shaq over him every day of the week.
Yeah, if they're good, yeah,
Because I saw
in,
Shaq.
in today's day and age, Bill Russell isn't even a center. He's a power forward.
Right.
I mean, now power forward today we can do because
Right.
but I mean, Shaq is a center.
Yeah.
That's it.
But I'm just saying,
there's
like,
a handful of guys physically that can match up with Shaq.
but I'm just saying, like,
In the history of the game.
you made the point that
Yeah.
somebody can say you can't have an opinion about Bill Russell, but my opinion is Shaq is better than him.
Yeah.
Which might not be fair because I never saw Bill Russell play.
There's Bill Russell.
So I can only access what I think
the person
is true.
the person who will throw facts to you goes, really, one's got 11 rings, one's got 4.
Right. I'd be like,
And
yeah,
one-
but I
and
saw
one-
Shaq and he dominated like a.
Yeah.
you know.
So I mean, But Russell had to deal with Chamberlain.
Yeah,
and he
yeah,
did.
not
And
taking anything with
yeah,
him.
and Chamberlain was almost as big as Shaq. So in fact, he was taller. He weighed about 270. Shaq weighed about 300. So I mean, yeah,
He was
Chamberlain
330 some years.
at the end of when he ate himself when he got out of his prime, he was fat. But in his prime, he was about 310. He was Shaq was a freak. Shaq was a freak of nature.
Shaq was awesome.
A man that big, that mobile. Bird said it before Shaq came in the league. He said that dude in the next 5 years. Bird called it before he even got drafted.
I remember having a Shaq shirt.
Yeah.
Orlando
Remember the
Magic.
Shaq shoes? The Shaq shoes were spacey.
Remember they used to have them in the store so you
Yeah.
could see how big your foot
Oh
compared.
God, he had like a size 24 foot.
It was like a triple E or something.
It was ridiculous.
So they would have his shoe there, and you could walk up to it and be like, "Oh my god!" Now I feel like they do that all the time.
I could put my son when he was 4 inside of Shaq's shoe and push him down the
when he was 4 months.
Oh, 4 years.
No,
Yeah.
4 months.
Shaq's shoe is 2 feet long. That's all I'm saying.
A 4-year-old is longer than 2 feet.
Not all of
Especially
them.
yours,
Not
tall
all
man.
of them. He's not all of them. Anyway, point is,
2 feet.
all of these arguments when comparing eras are difficult because everything's different. The style of play is different. But and in terms of, and by the way, the gamesmanship was different because the style of play was different. What guys do today in terms of game is different than what. It's not better or worse. It's just different because of the way the game is played.
Because gamesmanship is pushing the edge of the
Yeah,
rules. So
like
if the
really,
rules change,
flopping
the gamesmanship changes.
really didn't start until the mid '90s. When it really flopping. Rodman was the first one, but he wasn't out of control.
What?
No, he wasn't as bad as.
He used to like jump all over the place.
Yeah, but the guys hitting him were like 6'10". These were big people.
Actually, I'll say this: Reggie Miller was a flopper before Rodman.
Well,
Maybe not before.
No, Rodman started it, but he wasn't. He didn't take it to the level.
But when he was on the Bulls, he was a major flopper.
Yeah, but that was in the mid '90s. When I said the mid '90s,
yeah,
that's when it kind of got out of hand.
But I'm saying, did he start
when he was with the Pistons? No, he wasn't like that.
Okay.
Really
so I might say Reggie Miller was a flopper.
Oh yeah.
He always faked getting fouled.
Yeah.
He always.
In fact, I think Reggie's the one who came up with the whole idea about kicking your leg out, so you can, if they hit the leg and you make he caught my leg. It's like in my shooting.
He was
form.
a major flopper.
I think he was the one who created that. I think it was Reggie Miller. So, because to me, that's where it got in. If you're going to flare your leg out like this, I'm not going to.
He always faked.
Yeah, I mean, but he got that call, and he wasn't the last one to get it. So, I mean, now and then I got to the point where
was Divac a flopper? Vlade? I'm trying to think of some other floppers.
I won't say he didn't flop. I wouldn't. He wasn't a habitual flop. Like you couldn't have. Like he didn't have a per game average. He might do it once or twice in a week. He wouldn't do it every game, every quarter, every chance he got. Now, there are guys like.
I know the Heat had some floppers. I'm just
yeah.
trying to
I
think.
mean,
the
but
early '90s Heat with
the
Alonzo.
the flopping form of gamesmanship, because that's what that is.
I hate flopping.
I hate flopping. I've always hated flopping, and then the sad part now about that is you watch an NBA game, but I will say this: flopping can be entertaining. If you doubt that, you need to watch soccer in Europe, because when these motherfuckers go down, it's the funniest thing. You'd swear they rehearsed it in the locker room before.
They did. That's not entertaining.
It's funny because you're like, I can't believe they get away with this shit.
Right, but it's
and
like
the guy rolls on the ground like he got shot. Like he's got his arm like he's having a heart attack. It's the funniest thing.
It's a joke to the
or
sport.
He grabs the leg, he grabs his knee like he's torn the meniscus, and then he gets up and sprints out the field the second the card comes out. And it's like you look at the official like, how many times is this going to happen before you figure out they're flopping? Because if the guy grabs his leg like that and he doesn't go out on a stretcher. I mean, they're almost making fun of. What they do is they make fools of the official, because the officials are the ones. Let's face it, the officials are the ones that fall for it. They're the ones who pull the yellow card, the red card.
Do they fall for it, or is it just part of the game? I think it's just part of the game.
I think it's a bang bang play, because and by the way, how old?
No, sometimes they just go down randomly.
How old are most of these officials? So they're trying to keep up with a bunch of 20-somethings. They're in their 60s.
No, soccer officials? No.
They're older than the players.
Yeah, not in their 60s.
How do you know?
You run too much in soccer.
No, if the ball's not in your area, you don't run. They got 11 men out there, dude. The ball's in the front. The defense ain't running. They're standing there in midfield. They're not doing anything until the ball gets back over midfield. They stop it. They basically stop at midfield. Don't do it. And the offense, same thing. Some of them come over the midfielders. The midfielders cover, the middle third of the field. The midfielders basically to help the defense out. But then you get the people up on offense, the strikers and stuff. They're not coming all the way down to the box usually, unless it's a corner kick or something.
But you were just saying they had to keep up with the players.
Yeah, but if it's one official on each side,
you just said it was at 11.
No, there's 11 men running around the field. But the officials, there's multiple. There's like one on. I think there's an official on each half. So I think there's 2 per side.
Okay,
I believe. I'm not for sure.
The average age of a referee
in
Major League Soccer in 2019 was 51.
All right, so 50. Yeah, 50 is 20 years. That's a 30-year difference. Most of those guys are in their 20s. Most of the soccer players. They're trying to give a guys 30 years younger than them. That doesn't.
For me, 50 is high.
Yeah, it is kind of high.
Now you said 60.
I thought.
You said the 60s.
50s, and I said 50s and 60s.
I think you said 60s.
I said 50s and 60s is what I said.
Right. Well, I didn't think 60s, but I also didn't think 50s.
Well, check the average age of a referee in the NFL.
That's older.
Yeah, or and you guys remember Dick Pavetta and Jake O'Donnell. These guys reffed into their 60s. They did. Anyway, yeah.
I think it's almost time to cut this second segment.
Anyway, gamesmanship in all its forms.
Hold on, how could this be? What? The average age of an NFL official is 51.
Well, they have female officials now. They do. They have, and they had that. I've seen young officials. Yeah, 51.
No, I'm just saying it's the same exact percentage as soccer.
That is odd.
Let's see about NBA.
That is odd.
Because if they're all the same, I know I'm getting fed false facts.
2 is a very.
Two is a coincidence.
2 is a coincidence. 3 is a problem.
3. Okay. NBA. What do you think the average age is? They have to run.
I would say 40.
46. Yeah, MLB. That's going to be older.
Right? Oh yeah, they're not going to move. They're not going to move. I'd say they're 50s too.
What?
Major League Baseball's what?
That's not MLB.
Anyway. We hope you enjoyed our discussion on gamesmanship this evening, and some of the other things that we covered. Big win for the Sox tonight. Heartbreaker for the Mets tonight. Tomorrow's a new day. Big series for both teams coming up. Football is back. Yes, Bill Belichick is considered by many the greatest coach of all time. I beg to differ. He still has to prove himself in my eyes. The question there is, well, how does he do that, RJ? It's simple. He wins the Super Bowl without Tom Brady. Because Brady's proven he can do it without him, which I already knew. For those of you that didn't know, now you know. Now Belichick's got to go tit for tat, and until he does that, those are just the facts of the case. Found fact: he's either 70 or 79 or 72 and 80, give or take. He's 8-9 games below 500 and only 1 playoff win without Tom Brady. Bill Parcells, who all of you have heard that name before, stated, and I quote simply, and this is your record: "You are what your record says you are." That's Bill Parcells. And Bill Belichick has said that on camera. So that means he believes it too. You are what your record says you are. So Bill Belichick's record says he is 70 and 79 or 72 and 80. He is what his record says he is. That does not speak to me as the greatest coach of all time. Okay?
And one other point.
And no Super Bowl.
Mm-hmm. So I couldn't find exact answers on the average age of an MLB ump. Mm-hmm. I did see an article that said it's almost 50, which leads me to believe it's in the 40s.
Well, that would mean it's in the 40s.
That's interesting.
Also in the mid to late 40s.
I would have thought it was older, but I think some of the older guys are so old they're getting out.
You also learned the definition of gamesmanship tonight. You learned the textbook definition of that. We talked about gamesmanship. Where's the line? And I'm sure that's different for everybody depending on what sports you played, your perspective, and who coached you and the way they coached you. So there's no right or wrong answer there, I don't think. There might be, but I certainly understand all perspectives on that because there's more than one way to skin a cat. There's more than one type of coach, and that's true of all sports. There's more than one way to win. So, depending on what school you were raised in or taught in or whatever, your opinion might be different than ours, and that's totally cool. But we're going to sign off for now. So I hope you guys had a great, fun-filled weekend. We will be back Wednesday midweek, where we will probably be coming into Game 3 of these series, Red Sox and Mets, respectively. And we'll go around the league again on Wednesday, give you an update on what the rest of the world is looking like there in baseball. More football talk, and if anything moves on the Kevin Durant Crimea River Needle, we will definitely jump down that. I will mention the Bruins on Wednesday about that draft. I've had a chance to look at the players now and go through some of that stuff. That'll be a 5-minute segment. Tom can take a nap. And we'll cover that on Wednesday. So you guys have a great Monday. I know it's Monday. It's you know what we call it here? We call it Man Up Monday. So man up, get it over with. It's one day, and then it's on. Then we're into Terrific Tuesday.
I mean, you could woman up out there too. Come on, now.
Yeah, women up. I'm sorry, women, ladies, do your thing.
You could just person up if you wanted to.
Ladies don't complain about Mondays as much as men do.
You could person up.
They do complain, but not as much as men.
Everybody complains about.
Yeah,
Mondays.
but I think men complain about it more than women. That's
I don't know about that.
I do. I know all of that.
I don't know.
I'm the one complaining. Anyway, and my wife never does.
Nobody likes them.
You guys have a great Monday and Tuesday. We'll catch you Wednesday in the dark time hours.
Bang bang.
Stay loose.